Alright guys, we are making progress. Trying to plan plumbing for the intercooler that just arrived. Doing our measurements and do a little unboxing. So this is the Mishimoto Universal Type R intercooler. It's a 3-inch inlet, 3-inch outlet, and it's a 4-core. So I'm gonna take this out of the box so you guys can see this. Alright. And yes, I already opened the box because I was curious and I didn't want to wait because I'm impatient. Actually, I think I put it back in there upside down. We're going to take it out of the box. You guys can see what it looks like.
We got a box. We got a box! Call the bomb squad. I need a bomb squad. We got a box! I'm going to open it.
Over there.
What's the gun
I'll show you with the box. Who's in the box?
So this is what she looks like. Really nice quality piece. I think this one, the Type R, is rated for 32 psi, even though we're going to be nowhere near that. But this is a really nice intercooler. This is 4 inches thick. It is a 4-core, 3-inch inlet, 3-inch outlet. And I think you can mount them either way. You can mount them upside down. I don't think it really matters. But they got their logo on the front and not the back, so you can rotate it if you want. It's your preference. But that's what she looks like. So now I'm just trying to figure out the spacers that came with the supercharger. And I think this clip here, when you disassemble all this and pull it apart, this bracket here is going to go like that, which really pushes the radiator forward, which doesn't really help my clearance issues, but not a big deal. We'll figure it out. So, if you guys, for those of you that don't know, Mishimoto had a thing on, I think I found it on Facebook, and they talk about like sponsorship and all that. You just sign up, you fill out a form, you punch in like your social media, stuff like that. And it's like 2 days later, I got a reply saying that they approved it, and I get a discount on parts. And I was gonna go with the CX Racing intercooler with the part number that I did in a previous video. But for the money and the money I saved, I actually got this for $240, $242, I think. Way cheaper. If you're gonna go with the CX Racing intercooler, I think it's like $300, which is also a quality unit. It's pressure tested, all that. But it was a 3-core intercooler, and because I'm running the smaller pulley, I want to try to keep my intake air temperatures down as much as possible. So I decided to go with the 4-core. I was doing the research and I looked up on I went to the ProCharger website and looked at their install guide with all the part numbers and priced out ProCharger's high output intercooler. Not the base one, not the skinny one, but they do make like a full-size intercooler, kind of like this. They wanted like $850. So I went with Mishimoto for $240 because I'm on a budget, and the money I save goes towards other parts. So once we pull the front bumper cover off, we're going to fabricate our own brackets, and there are threaded studs on the top and the bottom. This thing even comes with a serial number. These are nice. I love this thing. This is badass. So I'm just sitting here trying to figure out plumbing for the intercooler, and going through the instructions and the spacers for the radiator. And I think I'm leaking something. I don't know if it's a valve cover or an intake. Oh, speaking of intakes, we have a Holley Sniper EFI on the way. I got the email yesterday. It'll be shipped out April 16th. 5.7s have a decent intake from the factory. Yes, you can run a 6.4 with the active valves from the short to the long runners and run the MSD box. It's actually cheaper. I got the Holley intake because I love that sheet metal fabricated high ram look. It's cheaper than a 6.4 intake. It's definitely cheaper than the 6.4 intake kit that comes with everything and the wiring. But because we're running a bigger cam with boost, I think we're going to really take advantage. That's when you're going to see the advantages of that intake. Speaking of the cam, that's been ordered. I think they're grinding it now. I think it's like a 14-day turnaround. So I don't expect to see anything until probably, I think the cam and the intake will be here like around the end of the month. And I changed my mind on injectors. That was another thing I changed. I was gonna run the Fuel Injector Clinic 650 injectors, but if you go to, and I really don't want to say this, but I'm gonna share it with you guys anyway. If you go to HHP, they are now selling Hellcat injectors refurbished for like $180 versus $650. I've seen guys run Whipples on a 5.7 with Hellcat injectors, haven't had any problems. So once again, I'm on a budget, so we're gonna try it. It might be a little shady, there might be some tuning issues, but we're gonna figure it out. And because of this whole EPA thing going on in the RPM Act, I kind of pulled the trigger on everything at once. I ordered the 1 7/8 inch long tube headers with the high flow cats, because I think my gut feeling is what's going to happen is everybody that's ripped the cats off the cars are going to be in panic mode. Everybody's going to be ordering high flow cats. They're going to be on back order. There's going to be price gouging. That may or may not happen. I didn't want to deal with it, so I just ordered them now. I see the tuners are still operating, like my tuner. I mean, they're posting new posts every day, doing polls, still dyno tuning. So I figured this is my one shot at doing this, so I'm gonna do it now. But yeah, the composite plastic intake going away. I love the look of the Holley EFI Sniper intake. I could have went with the Victor 2, but I just like the looks on the Sniper. It's more than I need for now, but even later on, with the added displacement with the forged bottom end, we turn up the boost. That's when we're really going to take advantage of that intake. Same thing with the cam. I went a little big on the cam. I went with Brian Tooley Racing. They're huge. They've done a lot in the LS world. Brian Tooley was a major player in the game back in the 90s. Had one of the first 6 or 8 axis CNC machines, and he was doing heads. And he had I think it was one of the first flow bench something 8,000 whatever, I don't know. But anyway, Trick Flow literally walked into a shop one day and bought him out, and he worked with Trick Flow for years, and he's been doing cams ever since. And now he's big in the LS world. And I could have went with a 274 cam. I could have went with a 6.4 cam. Could have went with a Hellcat cam. The cam that I'm going with is literally designed for a centrifugal supercharger, not a turbo, not a Whipple. The duration is probably equivalent to a 274 cam, but the lift is higher. The lift is like 605, I believe. But then when I do the forged bottom end with the stroker kit, I can still run the same intake, still run the same cam. I don't have to change nothing. But it's coming along. Pieces are starting to come in the mail, and we're trying to figure this out. So I think in the course of the next 3 weeks, we're going to be ready to bring her in the shop and tear everything down and hopefully knock this out as fast as I can. But I want to take my time. I want to measure, make sure I got the right push rod length, degree in the cam, with the degree wheel. I want to do it right. The two biggest, I think, purchases that I have left is the meth injection kit and the wastegate. And the wastegate's like probably $400 bucks. I think the meth injection kit is similar to that. But everything from there that I needed, gaskets, phase limiter, lifters. What I'm trying to do is buy like a master cam kit from HHP, just minus the cam. Give me the springs, give me the shims, the retainers, the locks, the valve seals, the lifters, head gaskets, all that. But it's a work in progress. We're getting there. But in the next probably 3 weeks, we're going to do this build. The supercharger, intercooler, cam, intake. We're going to tune around the dyno with the headers and see what happens. But anyway, I'll put a link in the description if you guys want a link to, I'll give you the part number for this intercooler. I did the measurements. It's a tight fit. I'm almost nervous, but I'll make it work, whatever I gotta do. We'll get her in there. And I'll also put a link in the description for anyone that's interested. If you guys are doing a build and you want to get sponsored by Mishimoto, it's pretty cool. They send you a sponsor pack with stickers and decals and all that. And when you fill out the form, they give you like a drop box and you give them like 10 products you're interested in. And they do like award points or reward points or whatever. And every time you order something, you get more points and you get a bigger discount. So I basically got a $300 intercooler for $240. It was my first purchase of them, but definitely go and check them out. This is a really nice intercooler. This thing's, I think it's rated for 1250 CFM, good for probably 1200 horse, way more than we need, but it's one of the things I didn't want to skimp on. And for the price, I couldn't beat it. Another thing I'm trying to do with this build, save as much money as I possibly can. So by not going with the $850 intercooler and the $7,000 turnkey kit that I could have went with ProCharger, the money I've saved so far in this build allows me to take it one step further. So the money I saved by not going ProCharger, I'm not knocking ProCharger, I love ProCharger, they're amazing, I've been following them since the 90s. But the money I'm saving in doing this myself, doing the install myself, you know, $180 for a set of Hellcat injectors instead of $650 for a fuel injector clinic. I could have went with the 6.4 intake and the active runners and all that, but I went to the Holley Sniper. It's probably $200 cheaper. The intercooler I saved a ton of money on. My goal in all of this is to do the supercharger, the intercooler, the cam, the intake, the exhaust with a tune and come under or match the price of a turnkey ProCharger kit. So if you look at the high output kit from ProCharger, it's about $7,000. So for $7,000, I'm doing the same amount of boost, same PSI. Actually, I'm going more PSI because I'm running a smaller pulley by adding the wastegate. Bigger intercooler. Also the cam, lifters, phase limiter, head gaskets, seals, valve springs, Holley Sniper intake, long tube headers, high flow cats with a tune, and match the price of ProCharger's kit. And I'm not trying to knock ProCharger, it's just I'm on a budget, so I'm going to do this the most cheap and efficient way I can possible, and come within my budget. I have an idea of what I'm spending, but so far we haven't gone over budget. So the cam I think it's being ground probably this week. I think we'll see that in the next week or so. We'll do an unboxing for that. I'll give you guys all the specs. I'll put a link in the description for BTR, Brian Chewy Racing. We'll obviously do an unboxing when the intake gets here. I think that ships April 16th. But like I said, this whole EPA thing, I know everybody's kind of in panic mode. And I'm afraid that everybody's going to start buying up headers. Well, not so much headers, but high flow cats or catalytic converters. And you're going to go to buy a set of Cooks like green high flow cats, and they're going to be on back order for 6 months, and the prices are going to skyrocket. So I kind of pulled the trigger a little earlier than I intended to, but the parts are all starting to come in now. All the pieces are coming together, and then we just figure out how to put this puzzle together.